ideally it could have been. For 1 year, it did fall under my portfolio. So we were working closely, I personally was working closely with senior members of staff and the National Portfolio Organisation status that they lost, which ultimately led to the loss of massive amount of funding, a third, as the report says, is what resulted in the situation that we're in now. And I had a relatively recent visit to the Coliseum building, and you know, we talk about the state of the building, but actually it was a dangerous place for people to be. And this is, again, coming from senior members of staff, a senior member of staff that showed me around the building. And actually it wasn't fitting for those fantastic actors and people producing, and not only the plays, but also the costumes and all the other parts of a play that we would see or hear about unless you were actively involved in that sector. And it is heartening to see the proposals in the report, because as you highlight, Amanda, and I have to commend you on the way you've answered those questions publicly. I was going to do it privately, but I think you've really answered them well, and you've explained the situation. So yeah, I welcome the report. It's a really sad moment for all of us. As I say, it's part of the fabric of Oldham. But moving forwards, I think we have to be positive, and you know, we have to look forward to a different type of theatre in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mushtaq. Does any other member wish to speak? No. Okay. Cabinet will consider the item at item 11. Item 7. Grant acceptance, City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement. Oh yeah, do we get Barbara back? Manchester Street Viaduct refurbishment. Do you want me to wait until Barbara comes back? I know. Just give it a minute. Okay, welcome back, Councillor Banridge. Item 7, grant acceptance, City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement, Manchester Street Viaduct refurbishment. Sorry, Councillor Roberts.
Thank you. Well, this is both good and bad news. So the good news is that we're going to get the money to do the work that we need to do to keep the bypass operating. The bad news is that this will mean that we've got to do yet more major traffic works on the bypass once we start the scheme. I struggled with what the Manchester Street Viaduct was, because I think it looks like a flyover. So we're talking about the where the bypass goes over the big roundabout that the tram goes underneath, and you toddle off down the A62 into Manchester. So the report is basically a technical report, as Councillor Jabbar often says, which is just asking us to accept the funding from the CRSTS.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak? No? Does Cabinet agree with the recommendations in the report? Agreed. Thank you. Item 8, Sharp Rates Play and Leisure, approval to award contract from the 1st of April 2023. Councillor Morse.
Thank you. The Short Break Play and Leisure contract is a statutory service that provides leisure and development opportunities for children and young people with SEND. It also provides respite for families. It is an absolutely vital service that we need to maintain, and we need to maintain continuity for this service, and the paper seeks approval to delegate responsibility for approval of the contract to the Managing Director for Children and Young People. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moores. Does any Cabinet member wish to speak? No? Okay. Cabinet will consider this item at item 12. Item 9, approval of temporary accommodation framework, which is my item. So in October 2021, Council's temporary accommodation framework was approved by Cabinet. It brought a delivery plan in motion, and the first priority became to establish a framework to help the Council deliver a sustainable and cost-efficient temporary accommodation service to vulnerable Oldhamers and families in crisis. Since then, the Council has been working towards increasing the supply of cheaper, better quality, higher standard alternative temporary accommodation to hotel and B&B and nightly paid accommodation. Given the current high demand, last month Oldham had 369 households in temporary accommodation compared to 254 in January 2022, and the costs associated with delivering a good service. This report now asks for permission to approve the successful bidders under a framework agreement following procurement exercise which commenced last September. Lot 1 is a framework of providers that could increase the Council's supply of nightly paid accommodation for a range of property sizes. Lot 3 is a housing supply framework that would deliver suitable dwellings for the Council to take a short, medium or long-term leasehold interest in for the purposes of providing much-needed self-contained and family-sized temporary accommodation for families in Oldham and those that need it most. It is worth noting for Cabinet that we're not seeking approval for Lot 2 at this time. It was hoped that this lot would be for reputable contractors that could undertake repair and maintenance work on the Council's temporary accommodation stock. However, this had to be deferred due to poor levels of interest and engagement from local contractors and stakeholders. We hope to do more consultation with local contractors ahead of remarketing these opportunities. Does any Cabinet member wish to speak? No? The report will be considered at item 13. Item 10, exclusion of the press and public.
Moved. Seconded.